nervous?
No.
Where's your answer?
Dennis Beckham, let the ball on! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Oh!
Oh, no! Oh, yes! He missed it!
Welcome to the Suffering from Joy podcast. My name's Devin. A nice, cheeky little, 1-0. Not really a smash and grab. We deserved to win, but, a win's a win. It didn't feel like it was going to come, but just like Christmas morning every year, it does. And that makes us, I believe, 4-0 of all time. I'm sure Seth has this on his note. With a lot of schedule craziness, I've been in Albuquerque at a dog competition. Pips won a big award. Phil managed to get 4th, which is pretty good, but if he hadn't kicked a couple bars, he would have been second, only behind a dog at the World Agility team, which is, basically like the Olympic roster. So overall, a successful weekend. The rest of the boys are heading to Charlotte, so we didn't have time to do a full episode. So we're just going to kind of give our thoughts here. I haven't seen a ton of the game, but it seemed like we dominated. Couldn't find the goal, found the goal. New signing goal, 15 minutes into your career. Always a great way to make a name for yourself with a fan base. But, at this point in the season, patterns of play are maybe a little patchy and still kind of figured our friends out, but... we got there. I don't want to rag on Izuni too much, but that chance he had to make it 2-0. Dude, you got to finish these. You're a DP striker. Overall, we got the 3 points. A win is a win. That's all that matters. So at the end of the day, we are where we need to be. We have 4 points. 3 goals from 2 games is a lot better than we were on last year. So all we can do is move forward. Hope to see a lot of power and progression going forward to Charlotte. I think it'll be a tough game, but we can come away with a point. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and leave you with everybody else's audio clips. So thank you. Bye.
1-0 to Austin FC for a first win of the season this past Sunday over DC United at Q2 Stadium. Overall, I thought Austin actually dominated the game. If you look at the advanced stats, Austin FC, especially from an XG perspective, really outperformed DC, and DC was never threatening during the match. I think Stuber had to make 1 save the entire time, and post-game even made the comment that that was one of the quietest games he's ever had in front of the net for Austin. Thought we deserved at least a 2-0, if not 3-0 victory for the way the team played. However, nice to get the late goal with Ramirez on his debut. Also a little concerning that it took so long to get one in. Facundo Torres had a really good chance in the second half, early in the second half. It was a great save by DC there to make that play. But, a couple of things I think as you look down the road here. One, the signing for Ramirez specifically at the GAM number that we got him at and the roster charge and being on a supplemental spot, that's a really good signing, and it's already paying dividends with the goal this past week. And it's nice that he was able to jump right in, which is something that has not really historically happened for Austin FC. Typically when we get a signing, he has to wait a few weeks before he gets in, and this is a guy that we got 2 days and threw him into the roster and boom, scores the game winner. I thought Biru really played well in his first action of the year after the not suspension for game 1. And overall, the team looked much better. First 2 weeks, I think what you can take away is the attack is threatening. Facundo Torres has been a revelation, not only for some of the stuff he's done in the middle of the park, moving the ball around, but also his ability to deliver dangerous cross after dangerous cross from the corner is a weapon that we have not had. And so I'm really excited for us to maybe sneak a few more, I don't say cheap goals, but earning corners is really going to be a threat for us this year, where maybe it hasn't been in years past. Looking ahead to this week against Charlotte, if you watch that game against LA Galaxy was slow. Charlotte was slow on the back end. Tim Ream looked a step behind the entire game. Down the right side, Galaxy cooked Charlotte. And being that, yes, the game is in Charlotte, but it's also on a fast track on the plastic pitch, we might have a chance here with some speed to score and stress their back line. I think that has to be the idea going into the match this week. But, 4 points through 2 games, I still think we should have gotten the win. It's frustrating not to get the win in week 1 after giving up that late goal. We could easily be sitting on 6 points through 2 weeks, but not a bad start to the season. how we go about these next 2 games on the road. If we could find 2 or 3 points in 2 games, I'd be pretty happy with that. RSL's never the easiest place to go play. Charlotte's a very good home team traditionally, so these aren't two of the easiest places to go play in MLS, and we'll see how that goes coming this week. Quickly stock up as I think about it. It's going to be, for me, Nico Estevez. His subs were impactful, and I have been very critical on this podcast of his sub patterns and how he goes about them, but he went after the game. It was a 0-0 game, second half late, and he threw on attackers. He threw on Fauché, then he threw on Ramirez, and it just kept bringing on attackers to try to win the game. It wasn't a let's just settle for a draw, let's see if we can snag one late. It was let's go try to win this game. And Nico Estevez, in my opinion, won that game this past Sunday with his sub pattern. So credit where it's due to the gaffer. Really nice job there. Stock down, I think it's the obvious. It's Mirto Azuni. Pretty quiet all game long. You really didn't notice him on the pitch. And when you did, late in this match, it's the way you don't want to notice him because he flubbed a relatively simple chance that a guy who is your most expensive signing ever cannot flub to put the game away there late. And that's the kind of thing that, we're now in year 2 of the Mirto Azuni experiment, and he has got to be able to find the form, or the serious conversations need to happen over the summer about selling him somewhere, even if you have to take a bit of a loss and use that roster spot for something that might be a little more effective. Moment of suffering, I just mentioned it, but the play from Azuni in the 90th, where if he puts that away, we are breathing easy. You don't have to worry about the last couple of minutes. And yes, we saw the game out, but it's nicer to have that 2-goal lead with a couple of minutes to go versus a 1-goal lead where one wrong bounce and all of a sudden you're in a draw versus getting a win. We'll take the 1-0 victory. Nice victory for Austin with the 4 points, and looking forward to seeing how we react on the road for the first time this year.
Hi, this is Scott from Suffered from Joy with a few thoughts about Austin FC's 1-0 win over DC United, thanks to a goal from the newest Austin FC player, Christian Ramirez. It's really great to see Austin benefit from LA Galaxy's salary cap situation, more so because we helped to cause it by trading them Diego Fagundes, and as much as cups never rust and banners fly forever, that team is really struggling to maintain any kind of depth or really filling out a full roster at this point. Back to Austin. For an undermanned team, still missing Owen, still missing Dessler, still missing Vasquez, and now Robert Taylor out, this is a really good result against the DC United team that was much better and much more organized than we saw last year. Last year, Austin was able to play through the middle and kind of pick them apart a little bit. And on Sunday, that just wasn't the case. DC kept very good organization. They kept their lines very tight. They really cramped the middle to where Austin was forced to play on the edges, or what really was needed was somebody in Austin to make a diagonal run beyond the defense and for usually the defenders on the ball to make that pass over the top. I think that only really happened at the end with the Azuni breakaway that didn't really result in anything, but that run was open the entire game. So on to some format stuff. My stock rising is throwing on attackers when you need a goal. This is something we talk about a lot, the Arsene Wenger strategy of when you need a goal, just keep on throwing strikers and 10s and wingers, because ultimately just game state dictates that if you want to get the 3 points, you need a goal. And against what I'm expecting to be a bad DC team, 3 points at home, especially coming off the late draw against Minnesota, Nico needed 3 points on Sunday. And I was really glad to see him throw on an extra striker and then throw on an even other striker to really try and make sure that Austin got the result they needed. My stock falling is the Eastern Conference, who through 14 games against Western Conference teams are still winless and only have 4 draws out of 14. It's interesting in MLS now that more players are being traded inside of the league to watch the balance of power go back and forth and to kind of see not just where the top teams are, but where the middle teams are. You can kind of look at the point totals from 6 to 9 to 6 to 10 for both conferences to kind of see which one's a little bit stronger. The West was kind of down last year and looks to be a little improved. And I'm kind of interested to see if this trend continues, especially with Austin playing another Eastern Conference team this weekend. My moment of suffering is I don't like afternoon starts. Yes, it was a sunny day. Yes, the temperature was fairly moderate. We had a great time, but for those of us who have PL teams, and more importantly, PL teams who won, we want to save those victories a little bit longer. And I would have appreciated being able to do that instead of feeling like that match ended and immediately had to start getting ready to head up to Q2. It also divides Sunday in a weird way of feeling like I don't have time in the morning to get stuff done, and I'm too tired later to get stuff done, and ultimately that's a weekend planning problem on my part. But let's be honest, Saturday night is just a better time to go out and see a soccer match.
Hey there, it's Seth here for the Clip Show. Excited to pick up the first win of the season. Beating DC is something that, let's face it, we've scored 3 goals in every other match we played against them, so a 1-0 win feels a little anticlimactic, but the first win of the season for a roster that didn't have Owen Wolf, Brandon Vasquez, Mikael Dessler, heck, Robert Taylor, after the way he looked against Minnesota, is a good result. So we will never complain about 3 points and a clean sheet here at Suffering from Joy. We suffer enough that we will have enough joy in this world. Let's at least celebrate that we got 4 points in our first 2 matches of the season. This team was a little less exciting than it was against Minnesota, but, I mean, Facu Torres' corners in the first half were really fun to watch. I mean, it's good that we already scored 1 of them this season against Minnesota, but as Christian Ramirez gets more embedded into this lineup, as Brandon Vasquez comes back, as Owen comes back, there's going to be more guys that are going to be able to land on these crosses, corners. We can build up some synergy. I mean, I don't think we're going to see the full embodiment of this team really even in this spring season, but like if we can get to a point where we are middle of the West come the end of this break, because we have 15 matches before the World Cup and 19 after. We just need to be in a middle position to be able to have a more ambitious second half of the season where we might even have some more players and get healthy and be able to succeed. So much of this first half of the season is just trying to bank as many points as we can, especially when we are not at full strength. So every point we can get is really important, but that's true in any league at a certain point. I've looked at it through 2 weeks of the season. It's really interesting to notice some league-wide trends. On the season preview podcast, we were like, oh, the East is going to be so much better than the West. Well, MLS makes us all look like idiots. That is sort of the rule of thumb of this league. And every team in the West has picked up points through the first 2 weeks, and 13 of the 15 teams have recorded their first win of the season. There's a bunch of zeros on that Eastern side right now. I mean, we'd be tied for 3rd place in the East, and we're tied for, 6 here in the West? So it might, obviously, 2 games is a small sample size, but teams are winning at home, and yes, Western teams have hosted more home games than Eastern Conference teams have so far, but we'll see if these trends continue. So we get to test that by going to Charlotte next week, and Charlotte and Scott, Brad, and I will be there in Charlotte, which will be fun to see. We had a great 1-0 win over Charlotte in 2022, and see if we can keep that up again this time. Charlotte looked like absolute trash Saturday night against the LA Galaxy. The Galaxy put 3 by them early, and frankly, if they had kept their attack up, could have put even more by them. So this is a team that also struggled against St. Louis, who got crushed by San Diego last night. This is a team that, if we are going to be able to get results on the road, this is a place that I'd be happy getting a point, but I think 3 is possible. It's Austin FC. We could lose 3-0 and it wouldn't shock me, but this is a game that, is it a bonus game? No. Charlotte should be a better team than the team they showed up in the first 2 games, but this is the time to try to get them and try to take advantage of that if we can execute a really strong game plan. We'll do format stuff here, stock rising. I'm going to give it to John Gallagher. Gallagher was getting himself into positions yes, he was in a role playing as a right back, right wing back, but he was active in the game. I mean, this is for a guy who has come here as the ultimate utility player, he continues to be in the right spaces at the right time, making key passes. And yes, is Dessler better than him at that role? Yeah. But, like, at the same time, Gallagher shows up with his full effort, ambition each and every match. And you know you're going to get a quality effort out of him. It might not always be a quality performance, but he put in a quality performance yesterday, so was very happy to see that. My stock falling, it's not really a stock falling, but Danny Pereira got his first yellow card of the season, and it looked like he was going to get to a point where he was going to get through the first 2 matches of the season without a yellow card, and then he got a completely stupid, unnecessary yellow, which is so on brand for Danny. So then we have to instantly put that as our stock falling for the match, just because. I mean, I could have chosen that as my biggest moment of suffering as well. My guess is one of our other hosts will probably do that. And for biggest moment of suffering was just not finishing any of those first 10, 15-minute chances. I feel like if we had gotten one of those, this could have been a 3, 4, 5 goal win over DC. But, like, we had so much momentum in the first 10, 15 minutes of the match to not convert on that was really challenging and just disappointing for the team. And yes, obviously we got the win. Christian Ramirez was in the right spot at the right time. I want to see him. I mean, he only had 5 touches of the ball in the match. I want to see as he gets more into things here and gets to a point where he can be more part of the overall system. Which is exciting. Like, okay, we had a player that we signed that got on a plane to Austin Thursday night, got in light workouts with the team, and scored a match-winning goal on a Sunday. That would not have happened under Josh Wolf's Austin FC. So there might be lots of complaints here about Nico Ball and other things like that. But it was a challenging world. Also, stock falling, because we have to mention it, was the MLS camera crew. We know that they have outsourced the work to the United Kingdom this year, to IMG, which we thought would be a good thing. As someone who watched that match on TV at home, I got blinded. The rapture might have happened during the match at one point in the second half. Our kits are really hard to see off of the half sun, half shade. And day games at Q2 just were not friendly. Like, it was... That looked like very much amateur hour. I don't know how it was actually in the stadium. I think Scott was the only one of the 4 of us who was in stadium on Sunday, but it did not look fun on TV, and it was a hard watch because of the camera work, as much as part of the play also made it a hard watch. But 3 points, no complaints here on the whole, and let's get 3 more in Charlotte.
Promise here for Austin Jared Stroud. It's Diego, for goodness! He has written his name into Austin folklore.
They just won't go away.
Oh, he hits the upright again. That's impossible.
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
Altidore squares it. Dempsey's missed it. Donovan has it. From hope, there is glory.